In this podcast episode, Barry Strauss, a renowned historian, discusses the reasons behind the decline and fall of the Roman Empire. The conversation begins with an overview of the empire's dire state during its final years, characterized by plagues, inflation, political assassinations, and a series of civil wars. Strauss highlights the extreme wealth disparities and the economic impact of slavery, which skewed the labor market and contributed to social unrest. These factors set the stage for a prolonged period of instability that ultimately led to the end of the Roman Republic. The discussion shifts to contemporary parallels, as Strauss acknowledges that non-historians often draw comparisons between the current state of the West and the Roman Empire. He affirms the legitimacy of these comparisons, noting that societies with strong citizenship can weather storms, while those that lose this bond face significant challenges. The conversation touches on the erosion of civic responsibility and the implications of a disengaged citizenry, drawing a direct line to the decline of Rome. To understand the collapse, Strauss delves into what made Rome a great civilization. He describes the empire's vast expanse, stretching from Britain to the Middle East, and its military prowess. The Romans were not only formidable soldiers, but also skilled politicians who managed to govern a diverse population with a relatively small army. The ideal Roman citizen was a public-spirited individual, educated and wealthy, who contributed to the welfare of the state. Citizenship was a cornerstone of Roman identity, with military service being a key responsibility. Strauss explains that the Roman political system was a mixed regime, combining elements of democracy and aristocracy. The Senate, representing the elite, held significant authority, while the assemblies allowed for popular participation. However, as the empire expanded, the challenges of governance grew, leading to a reliance on a professional army and a shift in the social fabric of Rome. The conversation explores the transition from the Roman Republic to the empire, emphasizing the role of military leaders who capitalized on the chaos of civil wars. Generals like Marius, Sulla, and Caesar gained power by appealing to the loyalty of their soldiers, ultimately leading to the establishment of a monarchy. Strauss notes that while the Senate and citizenship remained, the essence of the republic was lost. As the empire faced external pressures from invading tribes, particularly the Germanic peoples and later the Huns, the internal cohesion weakened. Strauss argues that the Roman military, once a citizen militia, became increasingly composed of non-citizens, leading to a decline in loyalty and commitment to the state. The professional soldiers, often drawn from the lower classes, lacked the same sense of duty that characterized earlier Roman citizens. A significant portion of the discussion focuses on the religious transformations within the empire. Strauss explains that the Romans initially viewed Christianity with suspicion, leading to persecution. However, as the empire faced crises, leaders like Constantine recognized the need for a unifying faith. The eventual adoption of Christianity as the state religion marked a pivotal shift, as the church began to play a central role in governance and society. Strauss argues that Christianity, while initially a fighting faith, adapted to the Roman context, blending militaristic and charitable elements. This adaptability allowed it to thrive, but it also contributed to the complexities of identity within the empire. The rise of different Christian sects and heresies further complicated the religious landscape, leading to divisions that would have lasting implications. The conversation transitions to the fate of the Eastern Roman Empire, which continued to thrive long after the fall of the West. Strauss explains that while the Western Empire collapsed in 476 AD, the Eastern Empire, centered in Constantinople, persisted for nearly 1,000 years. The Eastern Empire maintained a more cohesive identity and was less affected by the same pressures that led to the West's decline. Strauss emphasizes the importance of understanding the historical context of both empires, noting that the Eastern Empire's survival was due in part to its ability to adapt and integrate various cultures. The discussion highlights the contrast between the two halves of the empire and the lessons that can be drawn from their respective trajectories. As the podcast draws to a close, Strauss reflects on the implications of Rome's collapse for contemporary society. He warns against the dangers of losing civic engagement and the importance of fostering a sense of responsibility among citizens. The conversation underscores the need for education that instills a love for one's country while also encouraging critical thinking about its history. Strauss concludes by emphasizing the fragility of democratic institutions and the necessity of nurturing a strong middle class to support a healthy society. He advocates for a renewed focus on citizenship, civic duty, and the values that underpin a successful republic.